In the previous lesson, we explored why time is a limited and valuable resource. We learned that time cannot be stored, recovered, or reused after it has passed. Because time is limited, it is important to ask not only how active we are, but also what our activity is producing. This leads to an important question. Does being busy throughout the day necessarily mean that we are being productive? The answer is no. Busyness and productivity can sometimes appear similar, but they are not the same. That is the focus of this lesson, being busy versus being productive. What does it mean to be busy? Busyness usually focuses on activity. A busy person may move quickly from one task to another, respond to many requests, attend discussions, check information repeatedly, and finish the day feeling exhausted. The schedule may be full, the task list may be long, several activities may be started. From the outside, the person may appear highly productive. However, busyness does not tell us whether important progress has been made. It only tells us that time and effort have been used. This does not mean that busy people are lazy or careless. In many cases, they are working extremely hard. The problem is that effort may be divided across too many activities or directed toward work that does not produce the most meaningful result. What does it mean to be productive? Productivity focuses on progress and value. A productive day is not necessarily the day in which you complete the greatest number of tasks. It is the day in which your time and effort contribute to a relevant result. That result might involve solving an important problem, completing a meaningful stage of a project, producing accurate work, making a useful decision, or preventing a future difficulty. Productivity can also include routine responsibilities. Administrative work, communication, preparation, and maintenance may all be necessary. The important question is whether these activities support meaningful outcomes or repeatedly replace them. Productivity is not simply about doing more, it is about doing what contributes to progress. A practical example, Mateo's busy day. Mateo Silva is an investigative reporter at an independent regional newspaper. He is working on a story about unexplained delays in a local public project. For today, Mateo has one especially important responsibility. He needs to analyze a collection of documents and identify the key questions he will ask during an upcoming interview. He arrives at the newsroom with the intention of beginning this analysis. Before he starts, he checks the latest news updates. He tells himself that staying informed is part of his job. Soon afterward, he attends the newspaper's general editorial briefing. The meeting is useful, but much of the discussion is unrelated to his investigation. When the briefing ends, Mateo notices several new messages. He responds to each one immediately. Then he decides that his research folders should be better organized before he begins the document analysis. He renames several files, creates new folders, and rearranges his notes. When he is ready to continue, he notices an article about an unrelated regional issue. He reads it because it might become useful in the future. Later, a colleague asks for help revising a minor headline. Mateo agrees. He then checks again to see whether any new information has appeared about the public project. Before lunch, he creates a longer list of possible research tasks. By the afternoon, Mateo has been active for several hours. He has attended a briefing, answered messages, organized files, read articles, helped a colleague, checked updates, and expanded his task list. Yet he has not completed the document analysis. Near the end of the day, Mateo finally opens the main documents. But his concentration is limited, and he makes very little progress before leaving the newsroom. He finishes the day feeling tired. He also feels that he has worked continuously. But was Mateo productive? He was certainly working. Some of his activities were necessary. The important question is whether those activities helped him achieve the meaningful result expected from the day. Why busyness can feel productive. Mateo's smaller activities feel productive for several reasons. They are easy to begin. They provide quick completion. Answering a message or renaming a file gives an immediate sense of progress. The document analysis is different. It requires concentration, judgment, and uncertainty. Mateo may discover information that creates more questions. He may need to compare several sources before reaching a conclusion. This work is mentally demanding. Smaller tasks allow him to avoid that discomfort temporarily while still feeling active. His effort is visible. The newsroom can see him attending discussions, responding to requests, and helping others. But visible activity is not always the same as valuable progress. Busyness can sometimes hide avoidance. A more productive version of the day. A more productive approach would begin with a clear result. Matteo could define what he needs to achieve before the day ends. For example, he might decide that he must review the main documents, identify the most significant inconsistencies, and prepare a first set of interview questions. He could then ask which activities directly support that result. Some messages may need a quick response, others can wait. The editorial briefing may still be necessary, but unrelated reading does not need to interrupt the investigation. Organizing research material can be useful, but only to the level required to begin the analysis. Matteo could complete a meaningful stage of the investigation before returning to minor responsibilities. This does not mean that he should ignore colleagues or refuse every additional task. It means that he should keep the most valuable result visible throughout the day. At the end of the day, he should not ask only, "How tired am I?" He should also ask, "What meaningful progress did I make?" Preparation versus real progress. Consider a gardener preparing to plant a new area. The gardener arranges the tools, cleans the containers, reorganizes the seed packets, and repeatedly checks the soil. These preparations may be useful. However, if the gardener continues preparing but never begins planting, the garden does not develop. Preparation creates value when it leads to action. When it repeatedly replaces the main work, it becomes another form of avoidance. The same principle applies to many professional and personal responsibilities. Questions for personal reflection. Think about your own working patterns. Which activities make you feel busy without creating meaningful progress? Which important responsibilities remain unfinished despite long working hours? Do you sometimes choose small tasks because they are easier to complete? What result would make today genuinely productive? Are you preparing to act, or are you actually acting? These questions are not intended to criticize every small task. Their purpose is to help you see whether your activity is connected to a clear purpose. Common mistakes to avoid. Mistake 1. Measuring productivity by exhaustion. Feeling tired shows that energy was used. It does not prove that the effort was directed toward the right work. Mistake 2. Treating every completed task as equally valuable. Two tasks may require similar amounts of time but produce very different results. Task quantity should not be the only measure of success. Mistake 3. Ignoring necessary routine work. Routine responsibilities still matter. The objective is not to avoid them, but to prevent them from consuming all the time needed for meaningful work. Mistake 4. Expecting productivity to mean constant output. Thinking, preparation, reflection, and recovery can all support productive performance. Their value depends on whether they serve a clear purpose. Key takeaways. In this lesson, we examine the difference between being busy and being productive. Busyness focuses on activity. Productivity focuses on meaningful progress and valuable results. Through Matteo's day at the regional newspaper, we saw that a person can work continuously, complete several legitimate activities, and still make little progress on the most important responsibility. Small tasks often feel attractive because they are clear, quick, and easy to finish. More meaningful work may require greater concentration, judgment, and tolerance for uncertainty. Preparation and routine work are not automatically unproductive. They become a problem when they repeatedly replace the main action or result. A productive day should not be evaluated only by the number of completed tasks or the level of exhaustion. It should also be evaluated through purpose, progress, quality, and value. Now that we understand the difference between busyness and productivity, the next step is to challenge some widely accepted beliefs about managing time. In the next lesson, we will explore common myths about time management.